Some nights feel completely ordinary. The streets look the same as they always do. Street lights glow with their usual yellow haze, and cars pass quietly through intersections without urgency. But every once in a while, a single night changes everything. The kind of night that stays with you forever. My name is Daniel Carter. I've been a taxi driver for 12 years. 12 years of night shifts, drunk passengers, late airport runs, and empty roads stretching for miles. Driving at night teaches you something. You start noticing things, little things most people ignore. A shadow moving when nothing else moves. A figure standing where nobody should be standing. A feeling that someone is watching you, even when your mirrors show nothing. But nothing in 12 years prepared me for what happened on October 17th. The passenger who stepped into my taxi that night should have been impossible, because the man I drove that night had been dead for 25 years.
Genre: horror, paranormal thriller. Chapter 1: The Quiet Night. It was 2:11 in the morning, the kind of hour when the city forgets to breathe. Rain tapped gently against the windshield while my wipers moved slowly back and forth, back, forth, back, forth. The steady rhythm almost hypnotized me. Traffic was gone. The sidewalks were empty. Even the neon lights from the bars had started shutting down. I leaned back in the driver's seat and took a sip of cold coffee. One more ride, that's what I told myself. Just one more ride and the shift was over. Then my phone buzzed. A ride request. Pickup location: Oak Street. Destination: Raven Hill Cemetery. I frowned at the screen. Cemetery rides were strange, but they weren't unheard of. Caretakers, night visitors, people grieving at odd hours. I tapped accept. 7 minutes away. The GPS arrow pointed toward a darker part of the city. Rain grew heavier as I drove. Streetlights flickered and wind pushed old newspapers across the asphalt. The city looked abandoned. And somewhere deep in my stomach, a strange feeling appeared. The feeling that something wasn't right. But I ignored it. Taxi drivers learn to ignore strange feelings. Chapter 2: Oak Street. Oak Street looked darker than anywhere else. 2 streetlights flickered weakly above old houses. Most windows were completely dark. No lights, no movement, no cars parked outside. I pulled up to the address. No passenger was waiting. I checked the phone again. Ride still active. Passenger name: Michael. Estimated ride: 18 minutes. I sighed and reached toward the cancel button. Then suddenly, the back door opened. Slowly. I never saw anyone walk toward the car, but someone sat down behind me. I froze. For a moment, I didn't move. Then slowly, I lifted my eyes toward the rearview mirror. The man sat perfectly still. Tall, thin, wearing a long black coat. His hair looked wet from the rain, but something about him felt wrong. Not frightening, just lifeless. Like a photograph pretending to be a person. He leaned forward slightly. His voice was calm and cold. Raven Hill Cemetery. I swallowed and nodded. All right.
Chapter 3:
And the ride began.
The Passenger. Rain hammered the roof while water streaked across the windows. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. Most passengers do something: check their phone, ask questions, make conversation. This man did none of that. He simply stared out the window, perfectly still. Then he spoke. "Do you like driving at night?" His voice sounded distant, almost hollow. I shrugged. "It's quieter?" He nodded slowly. "Yes, quieter." Another long silence followed. Then he asked something that made my hands tighten on the steering wheel. "Do you believe in ghosts, Daniel?" My heart skipped. I never told him my name. Passengers sometimes read it from the ride app, but the way he said it felt strange, like he already knew. I forced a small laugh. "Not really." He smiled slightly. "Most people don't." I checked the mirror again. He wasn't looking out the window anymore. Now he was staring straight at me. And suddenly, the air inside the taxi felt colder. My breath turned faintly visible. Chapter 4. The Story. After several minutes, he spoke again. "Do you know what happened at Raven Hill Cemetery?" I shook my head. "No." He leaned back slowly. "There was an accident. A taxi driver and a passenger. They were driving late at night in the rain, just like tonight. The car crashed near the cemetery gate. Both men died instantly." A chill ran down my spine. "That's a dark story," I said. He looked out the window again. "It isn't a story," he said quietly. "It's unfinished." Chapter 5. The Cemetery. The road became narrower. Trees closed in from both sides while fog rolled across the pavement. My headlights struggled to cut through it. Then I saw the gate, Raven Hill Cemetery. The iron bars were rusted and the gate hung half open. I drove slowly through the entrance. Gravel crunched beneath the tires. Finally, I stopped the taxi. "We're here." No response. I turned around. The back seat was empty. Completely empty. The door was closed, the seatbelt untouched, no footprints, no sign anyone had been there. My heart began racing. I stepped out of the car. Rain soaked my jacket instantly. The cemetery stretched across the foggy hill, rows of gravestones disappearing into the mist. Then suddenly, the taxi meter beeped. Payment received. I looked at the screen. Transaction date, October 17th, 1998. My hands started shaking.
6. The Truth.
That was impossible.
The next morning, I couldn't stop thinking about it, so I searched the city archives. After hours of digging through old newspaper records, I found something. Taxi crash, October 17th, 1998. Location, Raven Hill Cemetery Road. Driver, Daniel Harris. Passenger, Michael Turner. Both killed instantly in a rainstorm. My stomach dropped. Michael Turner. That was the name from my ride request. Burial location, Raven Hill Cemetery, Section B, Grave 217. That night, I drove back to the cemetery. Fog covered the ground again as I walked through rows of graves. 215, 216, 217. I stopped. The photograph on the tombstone made my blood freeze. It was him. The same pale face, the same dark coat, the same passenger from my taxi. The man I drove last night had been dead for 25 years. Then I noticed something beside the grave, an empty plot, Grave 218. A small temporary marker stood there, reserved for Daniel Carter, my name. My heart began pounding. Then I heard footsteps behind me, slow, wet. I turned around, and there he was, standing in the fog, the same pale face, the same cold eyes. He smiled slowly. Then he spoke. "Your ride isn't finished yet." And somewhere behind me, the cemetery gate slammed shut. Some rides never end.
Subscribe to my channel.